This video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. Hi guys, I'm here with another video showing you how I made the stars or bow pieces for my Star Guardian Ahri cosplay. So to start off, I'm taking the pattern that I made for the stars and tracing them out onto foam. For the larger stars, I used 4mm foam, and for the smaller ones, I used 2mm foam. Once I cut all those out, I take a Dremel and bevel the edges where the stars are going to connect to the other pieces of the star. Make sure they're angled in a way that when you put them together, they're going to be pointed in the right direction. You'll see a bit more what I'm talking about when I start to glue them together, but the most upward part, like the center of each point, should be beveled so that when you glue them together, it points up. And the edges of each point should be beveled so that when you glue them together, they point down. I don't worry about beveling the smaller foam pieces or the thinner foam pieces because it's so thin, it's easy just to glue it at an angle. Apply contact cement to all of the edges that need to attach to one another and let that sit there. By the time I finish applying contact cement to all of these pieces, the pieces that I had first applied contact cement to should be ready to stick together. So when attaching them together, I start off by sticking together all of the individual points before then connecting those points so that they make a full star. So as you can see here, I have attached two pieces at a time, and that piece makes one point. These are all the pieces that I was talking about where if you attach them, they should be pointing upwards or bent at an upward angle. When all of the points are glued together, I go ahead and Dremel down the outer edge of each one to make sure that it's smooth and even and just nice looking in general. And I do the same thing with the smaller pieces, attaching them at an angle to make sure that they are three-dimensional. And again, the points should be bent so they're upwards, and then I attach them as a whole, and all of those should be bent so that they're downwards, so it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And here, I'm cutting out about 1/2-inch strips, and this is just going to be edging that I glue around the bigger star pieces, not on any of the smaller star pieces. But I don't have footage of me gluing them onto the stars, so you're going to have to look at a reference photo to see what I'm talking about, or you'll see it in a next clip. In this clip, I'm applying contact cement to a scrap piece of foam and to the bottom of the smaller pieces, and then contact cement to what's going to be the base for the stars that attach to the arms and legs, and then to the bottom of that. And then I'm gluing them into place. And for the one that's glued onto the scrap piece, those pieces go in my hair, and I wanted a solid base to make it easier to attach to a clip or to the tiara. And I just cut off the excess foam after it's dried. And I'm also gluing together the little U or V-shaped piece that's under her bow that's on her chest. Once everything's glued together, I start priming all the pieces with wood glue, and I do about 3 layers of wood glue before I move on to painting. I'm using acrylic paint to paint all the pieces, and I start off by applying the gold paint first, and I have to do a couple layers of this before it's fully covered and opaque. The gold pieces are all of the smaller stars, and then all of the edging on the larger stars. Once the gold is painted on, I move on to the pink paint, and again this is acrylic paint, and I have to do a couple layers before it's fully covered and opaque. And the pink is in the center of the larger stars. I coat everything with a clear glossy coat of spray paint, and then I mix in some white paint, just a little bit to start with, and apply that to the highest points of the pink section of the stars. So I'm mixing the white into the pink color, and then I blend it down. And then I go back in and I apply a little bit more white and blend that down, but not as far as the previous layer that I put on. And then again with a little bit more white, blend that down a little bit, not as much as the last layer again, so this one's a little bit closer to the top. And I think then I put in white one more time so that it's almost a fully white color but with a pink tint, and apply that just to the very top edge and blend that out just a little bit. I coat that with a clear glossy coat of spray paint, and then move on to putting oil paint into the creases of all of the gold section of the stars. I don't put it on the pink section. And then again, another coat of glossy spray paint. To create the purple bows, I patterned out the shapes that I wanted for all the different sizes that I needed, and then transferred that onto 2mm EVA foam and onto the fabric that I used throughout my costume as well, the purple fabric, the purpley satin fabric, or purple satin-y fabric. sew together the fabric bows that I had cut out so that I'm making like basically a cover for the foam pieces. I'm going to stick the foam pieces into these purple covers that I'm making once I turn them right side out, and then close that up. This will just help give the bows more shape and make sure that they don't end up floppy or anything. So for the two larger bows on her chest, I decided that I wanted them bent in like this just because it looked prettier. So I'm going ahead and pinning that closed the way that I want it to, and then just hand sewing a stitch along the edge so that it will keep that shape before I glue it into place. I'm using contact cement to attach the bows to the foam star pieces, but for some of them I go back in with hot glue to secure them down. Like for the bow on her chest, I secure that down with hot glue, as well as the ones at her ankle. But for the smaller ones, I don't have to worry about that since the back of it is flat. All of the bows were attached using snaps or glued directly onto the section of the costume where they belong. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys found this helpful, enjoyed watching. Stick around to see future videos for not just this cosplay, but many others, or check out some of my old ones. Have a lovely day. Bye!